Rich,
Here.
Gooding,
Present.
Peterson,
Here.
Hamilton,
Present.
Bristly.
Here. And number 2, public comment. Any public comment tonight? No? Okay. Moving on, item number 3, approval of tonight's agenda. Everybody had a chance to take a look at that? Motion to
Yes.
approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Petovich,
Second.
second by Gooding. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Okay, number 4, approval of utility board meeting minutes from December 16th, 2025. Any corrections, anything need to be adjusted? Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Peterson,
Second.
second by Petovich. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Moving on to number 5, financial and administrative, 5A, consideration to approve bills payable. Everybody had a chance to take a look? Anything stand out? Any more information on?
The one thing I had was that, where's that? Van Wert. I'm assuming that's just extra inventory and things like that for the meter, what's it, meter gaskets and radios?
Yep. Well, it's
And that's for all the replacements we're doing.
right, and we're actually pretty much through that order already from new builds and replacements. So
Another one coming.
there may be another meter order coming up pretty soon.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anything else? Anybody hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Petovich,
Second.
second by Peterson. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Okay, moving on to 5B, discussion on the clothing allowance budget. So it looks like there's additional information here provided. Gage, Sadie, anything on this?
So I did provide the water PPE spreadsheet. I apparently put 2 electric in there by accident, so there is the water one for that. And then I included the fund report for both electric and water in each one of the employees spreadsheet that keeps track of their clothing allowance expenses.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Are there any changes to it, or just?
No, I think it was requested to be on the agenda.
I requested it just so we could see like where everybody was at on this. So then like Collins,
So Collins was actually purchased in last fiscal year,
okay,
and when it was entered through AP, it did not get put into the right fiscal year, so it should have been last year.
okay.
Gotcha.
So he should have then 550 just,
So, and he does not get the clothing allowance because he is salary.
okay, so that changed when we changed
Right.
his position.
Right.
Okay,
So, yep.
just making sure. Write that out for your taxes, right?
Anything else anybody has any concerns or questions or comments on? Okay. We'll move on to number 5C, discussion and consideration to approve investment of utility funds. So, Sadie, do you have information on that?
Yeah, actually, Tracy came to help me out, to give more information on the IK, and I know Rachel had requested, just how much time it's gonna take her to actually enter that in and what that would be.
So that came up when you were absent at the last meeting.
Okay.
And President Peterson was resigning. We just, it's like, she had mentioned that she had said there was additional costs and maybe felt like the time she was putting into it. So we've requested, you know, how much time she's putting into this just so we can see the cost. We want to look at that and do that. But she said there's a change in some staff and a little extra work going on right now, so they'll get that to us.
Yeah, I'm Tracy Northcutt, I'm the new finance manager and city clerk, and this was new. This was like when I first got here, it was like, hey, we're gonna do this, and this is not typically like what my experience had been. Typically what, in my role in LeClaire, we would do like RFPs for, doing some investment things, and we would had set these things up ahead of time, and so this is all just a new experience. And so when it came in, I was under the impression that it was just sort of like how we do our money market, where it flows in and out through First Central. And since that's not what happened, we actually like issued a check to them, and then I haven't even set up like a vendor or a financial institution for that, because it's like I'm not exactly sure how this should be handled, because it isn't like what in my past experience was. And so I haven't done anything with it. It's just happened. And so in terms of, okay, there are additional fees associated with it, but the additional time of making sure that what we're doing here is from an audit point of view, acceptable to do, and then just being able to capture the interest and how it's broken out for that. So that is just the part that I really haven't done yet. And in the meantime, completely unrelated, Nevada and I had met with folks from IPAID, which is the Iowa Public Investment Trust, and just looking at different options for even just citywide of being able to do things that would be, and just looking at options overall in general of things that we can do, because I certainly applaud your efforts in wanting to really make the most of the funds that you have available. It's just a matter of just making sure that we're doing it in a fiscally sound mechanism, and then making sure that we're just following all of the guidelines that are out there. And so I don't really have any measurables for you in terms of like how much time does it take me, because it's like, well, I don't really know, because it's really truly just been set off to the side, because I just haven't been able to figure out what the best way to be able to show you what it is. And I think that the point that we were kind of talking about is that in the course of what takes place, there wasn't a whole lot more interest that you gained from doing that versus if it would have just stayed in the money market. And so that's why we were looking at doing just in the money market. If you don't know how that works, we just have an amount that we have to have stay in our operating account, and then whatever is above that goes into the money market, and then they have their rates, and at the end of the month they give us the interest, and then we allocate it accordingly. And it's whatever the interest rate is at that time. And again, my experience in LeClaire is there are other options out there, and IPAID was the one that we did, where we took like the sewer interest and put it in there, and then we captured all of that and had a specific use, getting more meters or things like that were some of the things that they planned, replacing pumps and a variety of things. But we're definitely still exploring what some of the options are, but IPAID is a good one just because it's a real solid one that's out there. And if you are interested in doing an RFP for investments, then that's certainly something that we'd be interested in pursuing and investigating on your behalf.
Well, originally the money was just sitting in a savings account, and we was getting nothing, or very, very little.
Okay.
So that's how all this started to begin with, because that was a lot of money just sitting in a savings account, drawing 0.5% of interest.
Okay.
That is what we was getting. So that's how all this got started. That money there's a lot of money there that could be making money.
Right.
So there's a lot of projects going on. So where we go at now, I don't know. You'd have to show us what the money market would do versus T-bills or whatever, but I know we don't need to go back to just a savings account where we're making 0.5% of it.
Right, we don't have a savings account now. Right now, it does sweep in between, every single day, it sweeps over into the money market, and then, you know, that calculation is made, and then at the end of the month, and then they give us the interest, then that's when it gets allocated. And my past experiences is it would be allocated based on the fund balances that are in each of those. So, you know, like in electric, water, and sewer.
Do you
That's
know,
what that or just electric and water.
do you know what that current money market rate is?
I don't.
It was within 0.1% consistently of the T-bills.
Okay.
Which is fine, but like I said, we got started on all this because of, it was just sitting in the savings account and doing nothing.
So-
It wasn't my understanding too that we had, I can't think of his name right now, like, that looked into like how we were gonna appropriate and what our options were for the T-bill. What's the company that works with us?
Barry?
LPL.
Yeah, and that's kind of the direction and why we were going that direction, based on what we knew collectively and like their research and what they communicated to us.
I mean, I guess if it's 0.01% within a T-bill, I don't see the point of messing
No.
with the T-bills.
I don't either, but
So I guess I need some help here. What's the ask?
I agree.
I don't know what the answer.
No, we met last week
Okay.
and Sadie had, cause we were supposed to discuss the T-bills last week. And she had said, expressed that Tracy, like there may be more time, like going into this for, you know, what our ROI is on this and the time she's gonna be putting into it. And so we had requested just like, hey, how much time is she putting into this? Like how much extra work is this by like
Well, I can tell you just.
reconciling the
Okay, that
accounts?
makes a little more sense to me, so I apologize for not answering that. I don't have to do anything except allocate interest, which I do anyway on the money market. Like that happens and you just say, here's how much it is. You know, it would be my recommendation that you would do a fund balance to allocate the interest. I'm not sure how I think it had just been kind of split up as a flat percentage before, but it's just my recommendation that it would be based on, especially because, you know, like I know that the water fund needs more, that always needs more money. And so you can capture some of that, you know, in there. But that just happens automatically. It happens with our First Central account. You know, you have your operating fund, you have your money market fund, and that just happens quickly. When you're talking about, you know, like taking the funds going outside and, you know, then they like had to stop in and like get some, you know, signers or, you know, at the end of the day. And so, you know, like, and this was all something that I was not aware of, and I'm extremely protective of all city finances, just because I had a very traumatic fraud experience, and so I'm on very high alert of doing anything. And so it's just like, what are we doing? Who are you? What, you know, where's the authority coming from? And so, and then just going outside of that, so like I said, you know, they were like, can we just take a check from your account? I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, I had it in my head that it was going to be similar to, because it looked like it was on a First Central header, but apparently they're just sort of a subsidiary of that, and so it, you know, was taken out of our account, and then they did put it back in later at a later point, but for the, and then they took, you know, their fees out of it, which I think was like $50 each time, and then so at the end of the day, going through all of that was like, why are we doing this when it's doing the same thing, when it's just sitting over there in the money market and it's going, you know, back and forth on its own. So that's all, is like, you know, you certainly have options that we're willing to explore, but it would not be my recommendation. And, you know, admittedly, it's because of the extra work that needs to happen on top of that. So if we are going to do extra work, I would hope that it would be yielding a much greater value for you.
Okay, and I believe we explored the T-bills when interest rates are a little bit higher and there was a bit more of a return. So if it's reached a point where it's no longer adds value, then we can consider other items, I guess.
Right.
Is that what we're saying, that we're
That's
gonna
our recommendation at this point.
look at
is
other
that-
options?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we would have to, you know, we have a list right now that we've approved or we've voted on in the past, so if that requires an adjustment, I think we're all open to
Yeah.
looking at other items, you know,
Sure.
again, extremely conservative type, you know, that meets the guidelines of, you know, the state of Iowa on that, so, I mean,
No, and thank you for your feedback and.
No, I
we'd all
appreciate that, I
value,
think
like,
that's
any
what,
input you have with your experience and just a
So I
path
guess-
forward.
you would, I guess in the future, then maybe you'll present some ideas that, that we can consider as well.
yeah, and I also appreciate your patience, because it's been on our list, but, you know, as you know, Ashley has been gone, and so then payroll immediately became my top priority, and that's where most of my discretionary time has been going into, is making sure that everybody gets paid accurately and timely manner, so.
Well, we appreciate you being with us, and I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, but
Yeah.
that's great, and again, I think we're all welcoming for the information. So I guess at this time, there's probably not much more to discuss on, you know, there's nothing really in front of us to consider tonight, but we can table this and bring it up in the future when more information is available, and you kind of get it, you know, settled in, I guess, because like you said, when you take over Ashley's spot, you're probably already behind.
So Ashley's no longer with us anymore, then?
Right,
Okay.
so I'm actually taking over the, you know, Martha Letty spot, that's my job, and then Ashley's last day was the first, or the second, and so, you know, and this is my first payroll round, and you know, there's a lot, and I was actually just saying to him that I've really only been here for 2 months, but within that 2 months has been like 7 holidays, and, you know, so it's like, it's been hitting the ground running, but it's been great, and everybody's been fantastic, and I'm really willing to answer, you know, and look and investigate any questions that you may have, you know, on the finance side of things.
We appreciate you being here, thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank
at
you.
this point, I guess, do we have a motion to table this till, to a future date?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion by Hamilton,
Second.
second by Petovich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, nays? Okay, motion carried to table. And number 5B, Financial Administrative Department update. Sadie, is that with you?
Yep.
Okay.
So PCA did go down, it's a credit, so, down from that 0.04317, it is now a negative 0.00295, which is a 106% decrease.
What's the new negative?
0.00295,
That's good.
yes. And then we have been working on the budget for fiscal year 26-27, still in the early stages of development. We're hoping to meet with Nevada and Tracy within the next week to review, and then following that, we'll prepare to bring the budget forward to you all in the near future.
Okay. Gage, anything to add?
I don't have anything.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe, Sadie.
Moving on, number 6, Electric Department, 6A, outages, call, anything?
No outages.
Thank you. And 6B, department updates.
Yeah, just a couple things. Inventory was completed over the last couple of weeks with them being hectic with the holidays and stuff like that. So we're back to working over at Ivy Acres right now, getting things ready to go for what they need for their third stage and what they have built so far for foundations, getting power to those places for them. So, and next week, Gabe Stricker and myself will be at IAMU for the utility operations conference.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, Colin.
Moving on to number 7, Water Department, 7A, water main breaks. Keegan?
No breaks. We had a scare today. One of the public works guys got a call from River Valley on South 18th Avenue. They have a leg that goes down fire protection, but it's all private. So fell to River Valley to fix that. So we might help them operate valves when they get to fixing it, but not ours to handle.
Okay. And 7B, water test results. I went through and saw a lot of uploads there.
Yeah, December all passed, fluoride was good. We are in the midst of doing January's back tees, we'll send fluoride. We had some UCMR5 kits, that was the second round of the tier 2 reporting for the EPA. We sent those off, I haven't got results back for it yet, but we have those completed. We're all good.
Good deal.
And then we get all those cylinder scales from the last meeting we talked about and approved, all that stuff, is that in?
So they've been ordered and they get built, because they're not just like sitting on a shelf, and then they come from Florida. So they're on their way, and then a guy from JR Supply, he'll come down and help us install free of charge.
So what's the lead time then on that to finish those up?
Should be the next week or two.
Thank you.
Okay, 7C, discussion on Fellner's edition water main work. Is that some additional information? I saw some stuff in the packet there for that.
There's the storm sanitary and street work being done, over there, Black Hawk Trail, Scott Park Road, Hunter Lane. They're gonna be doing utility work over there. Water is not included in that. So this is just basically getting a discussion if that's a project that we would be interested in getting involved in and getting water main laid over there. I think the biggest one for me that I would want to tackle is completing the loop from Scott Park Road all the way to the Hunter Lane. There's already a leg there that would go across there. That would be that 863 feet roughly.
And that's in the green here?
So Hunter Lane is what's already there.
Yep.
And then
I see it
you
down
go to East Lomar on the north.
Okay.
That would be the one that would be the most, I think the most detrimental for us to loop. So if there was ever a break somewhere in there, we would still be able to feed them. Down at the south end of here on 25th and 26th Avenue, those mainline valves, those are actually stubs to go north. They had pre-planned that. I don't know when they had that in mind, but they're definitely thinking of finishing that addition and running main from there. So there's already mainline valves plus, I think they put a 20-foot stick in there as like a dead end. So it is stubbed to get completed at some point, but I think at this point, the most important one would be completing the loop from Scott Park Road to Lomar and Hunter Lane.
So when you say though, like, obviously the water's not included, do we want to be involved in this? Do you mean like you want us to go ahead and do this now or do it at a later date? Is that what you mean, or is there somebody else that?
We would show our interest now, and then I can talk to Zach Howell with Shad Hattery and say that we're interested in putting water in, and then he would be able to get numbers and things put together for like an actual consideration to be made.
Lomar's gonna be fiscal year 27 or 28. South 26th and South 25th will be fiscal year 27. Did I say 27 for Lomar? 28 or 29 for Lomar.
Yeah.
So how are these homes served now in the loop?
They're on, so the homes on 26th and 27th Avenue, they're all on their own wells.
Okay.
As well as the ones on the north side of Lomar are also on their own wells. So this would be something too, where these homes would get grandfathered in. So if we did run,
They would have an option if
they would have the option to not connect to city water.
Correct.
But then it would be like one of those things where if there were ever to be a new build, they would be required to connect.
So if they opt in, do they pay for it from the street to the house for the residential service?
They would pay for it.
I guess, is there any
That's a lot.
survey or study that's, asked of the residents of this neighborhood if that's something that they would consider? I guess, I get it, if we build it and nobody hooks up to it, then we've got kind of a boondoggle there, right? Until expansion maybe further out would serve that, but this is all developed right now, so within this area.
Yeah. It can be definitely something we could shoot emails out, because I'm sure we have
They're already sending a notice out for the sump lines to connect.
So that we could just include any interest. If we ran finished water mains there, if they would be interested in connecting.
Okay, I think to me, it might be important to understand how many people would be wanting to connect or stay separate, so.
So that's gonna be included with the sump line notice then?
If you guys want a notice to go out to ask about the interest.
I think it'd be nice to know, because it's
Yeah.
quite I mean, it's gonna be a chunk of change, but if only 2 people wanna do it, and we don't have anything on the project line to go, I mean, I understand looping around and making a complete loop, and it would be nice to have that in the event of a water main break. But,
But if we don't have subscription
Yeah.
or participation here, then,
yeah, like,
and Scott
I think the
Park,
majority of them are
Scott Park
wells.
Road is our cutoff, right? So there's no, it's not gonna be city property on the other side of that, right?
It is for a portion of Scott Road.
Yeah, so this is all Stone Brook here. And then we have all the way over Cody Road, which is the next road east.
East of Scott, okay.
Yeah, so that map behind you, there's a chunk that still goes to the east, to Cody Road.
Behind you.
Oh. Thank you.
The other future consideration, I think, that would be beneficial as part of this conversation is whether, when the wells that these homes are currently on fail, will you want to allow them to dig a new well, or will you, once those wells fail, then they have to connect to city water because they would be within?
Well, I think we've got the ordinance already for the grandfathering. I mean, if the well could be serviced, it's.
And re-drilled, and
Yeah.
it's up to them. I think that's what didn't we have
Yes,
that as
correct,
that?
yeah. That was my understanding, that we necessarily wouldn't have to force anybody to connect that didn't want to. I guess what.
With the current wells, but I don't think we addressed whether in the future when their wells fail. I think our current ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, is we aren't gonna force anyone who's currently on a well to connect if that opportunity is there. But I don't think we speak specifically to when those wells fail, if we would make them connect at that point or let them drill a new well. Right?
That sounds right. But in the instance of maintenancing though, like if something was to be damaged and they could maintenance it, I think we would still allow them to use the well.
Yeah, it would be till it fails.
But yeah, if it was like something they were no longer able to draw water from that well, I think at that point we would just require them to hook on.
Well, why don't we pull that ordinance again and just double check to see what language is in there and then what we want to decide moving forward on the well failing.
And again, my feeling is if we put out, a survey or notices and get the, understanding of who's interested and then we can, I guess, better understand.
Do you have issues with the residuals on Hunter Lane too, because it's a dead end?
It takes a lot of water to get fresh water out there. So that's why looping it would help us out tremendously with residuals.
What's the fiscal year on that, did you say? For that?
27.
Lomar would be 28 or 29. 25th and 26th are scheduled for the fiscal year 27 budget to be completed.
We're still 2 years out.
Well, it's the budget that we're working on right now for the 25th and 26th, if there's any interest in putting in on those streets, because they're gonna be completely dug up with new storm sewers, curb and gutter, full reconstruction, so now would be the time.
Next
that
we
it-
get
Back on that,
Yeah.
If we're putting in partially new, does it make sense just to go ahead and do it as we go through it? Yeah.
I thought we were doing the curb and gutter and that on 2 of the 3 on this.
Yeah, 25th and 26th this year, and then Lomar will be in either fiscal year 28 or 29, depending on project priorities next year. We got a lot.
I have to leave.
Lomar's in good enough shape to make it another 2 to 3 fiscal years, but I mean, if we start, we might just wanna go with it.
And when if we don't see that letter before you guys send it out, can you email us a copy of it? I'd like to see one because sometimes obviously we get calls or something and then when we redirect them back to your office or Colin, have a little bit of not what's actually in it. Okay, see you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, so at this point, I guess, I mean, I agree, it makes sense if you're gonna open it up for storm and sewer, to add the water, but, I'd like to better understand who would be interested in connecting at that point as well, so. Anybody else have anything on that?
No?
I mean, this is just a discussion topic.
Sure.
So, we're not deciding anything tonight, but anybody else has questions or?
No, I think it does make sense to maybe just do the Lomar, like, just for flow purposes and resistance and all that good jazz, but, I mean, if nobody's really wanting to connect to it and they wanna stick with their well, it's a large sum of money for us to just go in and do that. If we at least complete the loop in year 28, 29, whatever it is, and something fails and say they want to, then that's on them to pull it from there to where they're at.
Well, we would have to put the infrastructure in, and if that happened later, then the water department would be responsible for the repair of the street. Where right now, the city and the sewer department are covering the cost of the reconstruction of the street because we're doing that project.
Okay.
So that's the benefit to you, to do it now, where the cost of repairing and restoring the street is significant if you do it later.
And then obviously we'll get cost estimates, I guess, on what that's gonna look like for us.
Yes, I'll reach out to Zach and say that there is interest in having,
Yeah.
put some numbers together to see what it would cost for that.
Sure, okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, well, I guess moving on then to 7D. Keegan, any other department updates?
Just a couple. We have moved on, we've moved to a full, actual on-call schedule. A lot of things fell to Tanner just because he lived in town. Wasn't really fair, so we moved a true on-call schedule so we can kind of split up that load, just so not one person was answering every single call and going in for every single instance. So yeah, on call now, it coincides with whoever has rounds, so whoever has rounds, they have that next week of their on call. So hopefully it'll be a good thing for us. Closing out 2025, we used 222 million gallons. It's a 4 million gallon increase from 2024, but we are permitted to pull 230 million, so we're well under our permit for our aquifer. We've had larger years, so we're kind of just bouncing. The average for the last 10 years is like 203 million. So obviously we're growing, so naturally water consumption will go up a little bit. Well, 5 and 4 soft starts have been installed and they're functioning as we need them to. Northway well and pump, I'm working on getting them scheduled. We were waiting for the well soft starts to get installed. So now that those have been installed, Northway should be getting down here in the next couple of weeks to pull well 4, perform any maintenance that we need there. And then River Cities Engineering, they have all of the parts. They're gonna come this upcoming Tuesday, so next Tuesday. And then ASCO, it will be on site. They have a 2 to 3 week lead time to help install the ATS.
Okay. Yay, ATS gets replaced.
Yes,
Alright.
and we've had some other generator troubles since then. The control board out, the generator at the tower, the new tower failed. So of course, we ordered a new one. That one luckily was only $300 instead of $8,000 or whatever the other one was. And then the fuel filter on the generator at the treatment plant blew, so it was just leaking gas the whole time. So took care of those things. Yeah, hopefully after Overseas gets down here, we get some things fixed up. Won't have more issues. But other than that, just doing meter swaps, making water flow.
Circling back to that on-call, is that a paid on-call?
So if they have to come in, so I think it's after 4 o'clock now, if they have to respond after 4 o'clock, like actually physically come in, it's paid.
They're not paid for being on-call unless something happens.
No.
And is there a minimum then that they would?
2-hour minimum for late night response. And then if they have to stay later than that, then they're just paid by the hour.
Sure. All right, anything else? Any questions? Thanks, Keegan.
Thank you.
All right, brings us down to number 8. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Motion by Peterson,
Second.
second by Gooding. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.
So where did they actually go?